The previous basket is under review.
If you've been watching Scout Team all summer long, as we hope you have, you've noticed that we've talked a lot about international basketball. We talked a lot about international guys coming to college. It's a different market. It's a different world than it was certainly pre-NIL, but even 2 years ago. The allure for top prospects, even potential NBA draft picks, potential EuroLeague players to decide to take a pit stop to college and make some money and play at a high level is very strong. We've talked about some of the reasons why in previous videos. We talked about some of those players as we've done our team breakdowns, guys like Luka Bogovac and Sananda Faru, who you will see in the ACC this year. But we're going to go through for the next couple episodes. We got 2 episodes on international prospects. Wanted to zoom in on some of the highest impact guys, Fawcett, guys coming over from Europe and dive into the tape of how they can be impactful at the college level. This video is somewhat ACC themed. We realized that about half the guys we really wanted to talk about were from the ACC, and so we figured, hey, why not? Again, if you're looking for Sananda Faru, who played at Louisville, we got a Louisville video on the channel. If you're looking for Bogovac, we got a North Carolina video, so we did not double up there. But we wanted to get to Neoklis Avdalas, who's at Virginia Tech, who could be the best player on that team. Taine Sarr, who will play a big role at Duke, was a highly priced addition for them in the spring. And then Virginia's front court duo that's gotten a lot of attention, Taine Ritter and Johan Grunlow, 2 guys that I think they're very excited about, and 2 guys that will key whether Virginia can make an impact here early in the ACC race. So Fawcett, I guess, just off the top, I know we've talked about it in the past, but just how game-changing do you think this avenue is becoming for teams and how they recruit? And, how different is it to see guys of this level coming to college from previous years?
Yeah, you can probably guess. I mean, I love this stuff. Forever, I loved college basketball and I loved European basketball, and those were kind of 2 separate streams. And let me just say, I mean, now that recruiting Europeans to college is now a theme, man, it's great to see my 2 loves kind of coming together, and it makes it really interesting. I think this will be a big year to kind of see just how big this stream is going to go, because I still think there are a lot of big time programs who didn't really look at this as a possible way of acquiring talent. If a number of the guys that we've already talked about, that we're talking about in this video, what we'll talk about in next week's video, if a few of these guys pop, man, I think there's a lot of top European players coming to college basketball. It is not close to being tapped. So there is still a lot of guys that could come over next year and play big roles. And for that reason, it'll be really interesting. And when it comes to how this could really change things, I think that we all are in agreement that the ACC has been down the last couple of years. Well, man, the reinforcements are coming, because I really think that these players need to be viewed like you see in the spring every year when they are veteran guys from mid-major leagues, high major leagues that enter the transfer portal, and people look at those as multi-million-dollar guys that are going to come in and be extremely impactful right away, or possibly the best players on the team that they go to. That's the way that these players should be viewed. Like, these are not guys that are it's like bringing in the 35th ranked high school player and you'll see if they pan out. You maybe expect more in year 2. When you're going to the kind of caliber of the guys that we're going to be talking about in this video and next week's video, these are guys that should be expected to contribute right away. They are certainly being paid like it. And I think that I do think that they're going to really put their imprints on the college basketball season.
Yeah. And just quickly before we get into the film, some of these guys, I think when you say the market isn't tapped, not only are there a lot more players, but I think there's a lot more room for college programs to invest more heavily in just overall evaluating the market, right? It's one thing if on May 1st you're scrambling and you need a power forward and an agent calls you and says, hey, I've got a $2 million player for you. And you're like, yeah, I guess we have $2 million. We'll give, Taine Ritter $2 million, right? Like, and that's not what happened with Virginia, but just using an example, right? Like there were a lot of international recruitments that sort of went like that this spring. And if these guys are as good as I think they can be, I think you'll see just the comprehensive investment in evaluating overseas basketball grow leaps and bounds in future years. And again, it could change some seasons, and maybe no season hinges on international talent more than Virginia Tech's, who a program that was very down last year. Fawcett 164th in KenPom, Mike Young on the hot seat, and they pull a rabbit out of their hats and land one of the most talented players from in Europe. I mean, Neoklis Avdalas is a guy that could have went to blue blood high major programs, chose Virginia Tech because of an opportunity to play a bigger role. But this is a guy who got an NBA Combine invite this spring, was very much on the radar. Is he a finished product? No, but the flashes are certainly intriguing, and this is a team that seems poised to put the ball in his hands from a very early point and really give him a ton of opportunity to shine and boost his NBA stock.
Yeah, smart take from Virginia Tech here, because I don't think he's got the kind of highlight reel stuff that a lot of these European guys have, but he's so smart. You can see the way that he works off the ball, like so many of these European players do, that are very good at cutting, finding opportunities to get into space and creating easy points that way. I have a lot of respect for the way that Mike Young's teams play basketball, and I think that he's going to find a lot of points off of that ability to cut. I really love the way his jump shot looks. Has always shot the ball well, not incredibly, but for that length that he has, the height he has, and the way that his stroke looks, I think he's going to have no problem getting shots off at the college basketball level, and somewhere that I think he could be really good. I also think he's a better defender than his reputation. Again, I don't think he's a great athlete, and I think some people probably would look at that and say, oh, this is why he's not at blue blood. But while he's not the quickest, he really knows how to leverage his length and kind of funnel guys and contest at the last second. Really difficult to make a jumper over him. So I've been pretty impressed. And then recently, Kevin, I know this is something that you've seen from him with what you've watched. He can really handle the ball and be a distributor.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Neo Avdalas wanted to be if he wanted to be a blend wing, he'd be at Kansas right now. Like, I feel pretty confident in saying that from my intel on that recruitment. Like, he wanted chances to play in ball screens, and you'll see a little bit of it on this film as a passer, as a playmaker. You saw a lot of it this summer when he played with the Greek U20 national team at the Eurobasket. He averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists in that competition. He's someone that clearly does have high-level feel for the game, can play in ball screens. Now, I do wonder what happens in college basketball when like a 6'3" athletic dude gets up under him and tries to mess with him. Can he handle it well enough? Does he struggle in that regard? And I don't think Virginia Tech is going to have him pounding the ball into the ground, every possession, right? That's just not how Mike Young's teams play, and that's why I think this could be a really good marriage. But without a doubt, like, that is the real upside swing, and that's what he's coming to college to prove. Right. And again, I think we simplify a lot of these conversations into, oh, it's just a money thing. You want to come to college basketball because of the money. And don't get me wrong, it's a huge part of it. But one of the things we've talked about previously is, like, it's really hard to get high level minutes and reps on good teams in professional basketball in Europe. And so going to a younger league in college basketball, you have a chance to do that, right? Like, if Neo Avdalas' next step in Europe might not have been a situation like Virginia Tech, where he's going to have the ball in his hands. And so I think that's really where the opportunity lies. I give credit to his agency for seeing that and giving him an opportunity to go say, hey, like, if we want to be a first round pick, we're probably gonna have to prove we can be more of this like jumbo creator. And he's going to get every chance at Virginia Tech to try to prove that.
And I think that that's kind of a match made in heaven too with Mike Young, who I know things haven't been going great at Virginia Tech, but I still see him as someone who can make more with less and is used to not having the elite of the elite athletes, but he's always done really well with guys that are high IQ. And that's what I see from him. But as you talk about guys that played at the highest level of Europe and maybe didn't have quite the role that features them, I think that's a good transition into our next name.
Right. Taine Ritter, someone who was at Barcelona, one of the great development systems in Europe, and was very much rumored to be on the college path for quite some time. And here he is off to Duke.
So I think for him, in a lot of these clips, you'll see that he was in very much a catch and shoot role, which of course Duke is probably going to look for a little bit more, but it is good to see him able to get this shot off, even against a lot of pressure under duress, find ways to get that shot up. I think that's going to be really big for him. And one thing I really like about Sarr is, like, I feel like when we talk about athletes, we talk about like functional athleticism and just like explosive athleticism. When it comes to ball handling, I don't think he's a great ball handler, but he's a very functional one, where I don't think he's got the greatest control of the ball, but he knows just when he needs to kick it into high gear, get to his dominant hand, and just get downhill. So as much as I don't think he's the kind of tightest finisher with the ball in his hand, or the best at making plays, he just finds his way to the rim. And it's going to be interesting when he gets into a different role at Duke than the one he's at with Barcelona, playing at the highest level. Again, you're seeing these EuroLeague games, the top level of competition in Europe. It'll be interesting to see exactly what he can bring, perhaps in more of a role, kind of secondary playmaker around some of those players on Duke. But I do think he has a lot more juice than kind of his reputation, which right now is a little bit more of maybe prospect 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, look, and quite frankly, I think he did a lot down the stretch at Barcelona this year and at Hoop Summit to try to dispel some of those notions, right? Like, I think there very much was a feeling that he was more prospect than player. And you start to see the flashes in high level games, and it becomes impossible to ignore, right? Like, I think, if you're Duke and you have the opportunity to add a guy who could be a lottery pick next year, it's worth the roll of the dice. And I think the beauty of this marriage, again, when we're talking about fit, is at the end of the day, Duke does not need him to be their best player, even if they pay him 7 figures, right? Like, Illinois was the widely rumored destination for most of the year that Taine Ritter was going to wind up there. They were very involved in that recruitment. And, I think a lot of these things get like framed as like, oh, like Illinois got broke or whatever. They got outbid, whatever. It's like, no, like for where Illinois was, it's really hard to invest that type of money in a guy who's not going to be a leading scorer, right? Like, Taine Ritter at Illinois is not as good a fit as Andrej Stojakovic. Taine Ritter is a better prospect than Andrej Stojakovic. And at Duke, I think I'd rather have Taine Ritter, right? Like, that's the give and take of this. And for Duke, like, I think the biggest thing is, like, let his athletic gifts shine, right? Let him fly around defensively and block shots. Let him fly up and down the floor in transition, use that handle to get to the rim. But in the half court, yeah, it's probably going to be bumpy at times. And that's okay, because you have Cam Boozer and you have Isaiah Evans and you have all this other talent. And so, I think, again, this is a situation where he probably made the right choice and goes to a place at Duke where, he will have an opportunity to continue to develop. And maybe down the line is someone that people rely on more offensively. That'll probably be the NBA, no, not in college basketball. He's a one and done more likely than not.
Yeah, I think so. And there's so many avenues for these European players. Again, I've always pushed back on the notion that every kind of European player has the same route, the same experience. There is a really wide range, and he does represent that pathway of, he was at the highest level, but when you play at the highest level, you're just going to need to make an open shot and defend if you're going to see the courts at all. And as I was doing the film for this project, it's something where he has a lot smaller sample size than a lot of guys were looking at. So because of that, he becomes one of the players I'm most interested by, not because I think he's going to be the best or the most explosive or anything like that, but he's one of the ones that his role is probably going to change the most. And for that, I'm really intrigued to see how it goes.
Right. Well, and again, part of that is there's such a wide variety. Like, all internationals are coming in at different levels in terms of just age. Like, Taine Ritter was born in June of 2006. The next guy we're talking about, Taine Ritter, was born in January of 2003. Like, it's just a different world. Like, these guys are several years apart in experience. And again, when we're talking about experience, you couldn't have much more than what Taine Ritter has. Him and Johan Grunlo will be this Virginia front court to start the season. And De Ritter, I think, is the most exciting guy because he's someone that has incredible professional experience. Last year was a starter in the ACB in Spain, one of the best leagues in the world, was averaging 9 and 5, really efficient, really productive, and someone who is, again, as high a floor newcomer as you could find, I think, in college basketball.
Yeah, he is someone who is so polished, and you see this so much in the pick and roll game, where watches every time he catches the ball, how composed he is. Doesn't matter if he's underneath the rim, 10 feet away where he's not at a great angle, his just awareness of the court, his teammates, his ability to catch balls that are difficult to catch and just make the next best play. Not a a big explosive athlete or anything like that, but has no problem finishing around kind of size, using that kind of poise. I just think this is someone who looks like a veteran pro because he is one, and we'll stay out of the debate. The debates. I know so many people want to argue whether or not these guys should be in college basketball, whatever the case may be. Now that he's in it, this is a guy who should be extremely impactful right away. Anytime that Virginia might need a basket, that they can throw it to him on the post and either get to that turnaround, use physicality and grown man strength. It's something that's going to be really huge for their offense. And the ability for him to also play inside out, whether playing that kind of bully ball kind of nature, get a switch, punish it. We saw even against like size, go to that turnaround jumper. It's also something where he can stretch things out, and you can see just how quick as well his 3-point release has been. We saw that out of the pick and pop earlier, but even playing off the ball, which he might have to do at times, the ball gets out of his hand in a hurry, and he shot the ball so well. So I really look at this one as someone who's going to define the market a little bit moving forward, because while a lot of people will, when it comes to transfers, high school players, teams, coaches, whatever it is, so many people are like, oh, it's so hard to say there's a sure thing in anything in college basketball. I mean, man, when you look at Ritter and you look what he did in the ACB, he is as sure of a thing as there is for European players coming into the sport. And if he is what, I think he'll be, and just an elite big man right away, it could really change the way a lot of teams look at bringing in talent. And some of the teams that haven't been looking at this avenue could, because you definitely can lure these guys, even from a league like the ACB, which is the best domestic league in the world outside the NBA. Like you can get those guys. And if you also want to see, I mean, I could run down the names, but there's a lot of guys that are 15-8 in the high major leagues that come out of college looking for jobs in Europe that don't get a sniff at the ACB. They end up in, the Leb Gold, the league below Spain, if they're really good. So just, you can also look at names that are playing in those leagues as rookie to suggest what kind of level that Ritter is at. And for that reason, I mean, the way that I think he could really kind of set the market for European players moving forward, he's definitely one of the most intriguing guys for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to watch him. I think he's just like a perfect fit for college basketball too. Like the way he plays, he is that sort of throwback 4-man, but he shoots it well enough. I mean, look, he's not as good a shooter as someone like Alex Caravan, but when you watch those clips, don't you see a little bit of that same kind of herky jerky flow? The shot, he's bigger and stronger, but the way that they shoot the ball is very similar. I think he's someone that is going to add a lot of value to winning right away for Virginia. But it's not just him, right? They went and got Johan Grunlow, who's maybe more of a prospect, right? Like this is someone who's younger, who's been on NBA radars, who's playing at a lower level in the German league, but has real experience, right? Has been playing at a high, has been playing big minutes in that league, has rim protection, background, has been really good as a shot blocker. And someone that Virginia elected to go out and get. Brian Odom had opportunities to potentially bring Luke Bamboye from VCU. He wanted a bigger role, and I think they felt like, look, like we need someone who's a little bit more offensively focused. So we're going to invest that level in the front court, and Grunlow has a little more of that to his game, even though he's still very much developing.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of an awkwardness at times to just the way that Grunlow looks, but at the same time, he's still very effective. And you can see that with his jump shot that isn't the smoothest release, but he shoots it at a good percentage and has always been effective there. And I think you also see it with the way that he often finishes around the rim, where again, it's not the prettiest thing. I wouldn't say that he's, finishing with a whole lot of authority, but he still finishes at a really high rate in a league that's really good. So I also see this as someone playing next to Ritter as a pretty good fit, someone who is a little bit more of a true 5 while still being able to have enough shooting to really have a lot of space on the perimeter with a couple of guys in the front court that can really shoot. But he will embrace, Grunlow will, a couple of the more kind of traditional 5-man roles. He was a fantastic offensive rebounder, and that's something that will definitely translate to the college system, even if he's not getting a bunch of pick and pop threes, whatever it is, he's going to go on the offensive glass and get, 4 to 6 points a game on the offensive glass. And where I really do think he's special is as a shot blocker, where he's not the most incredible athlete, but his anticipation is really, really good. He just times guys really well, meets them kind of not at the summit, but just as the ball is leaving their hands. And you can see that the way he was utilized was as this exaggerated drop defender, where he really was a true anchor of a really good defense in Germany. And when you're watching all these clips, especially thinking about the college game where guys aren't as skilled, the spacing isn't as good. I mean, man, you can just park this guy in the paint for every possession against most matchups, and he'll block a lot of stuff and be a good outlet passer and be pretty effective. So while he doesn't bring the same level of flash, or I mean, I guess you could even argue upside. I mean, I think there's definitely upside there. Just kind of functionally, I think he'll do a lot of the things at a high level you really want from a center.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm bullish on Virginia. I have them ranked, I think, 20th nationally. I think that's probably a lot higher than you'll see a lot of people have them. But I think a lot of it's about this international front court and the boost that they give this group. They marry that with high level shooting in the backcourt. It's a good recipe. I'm a big believer in this group. I'm a big believer in Ryan Odom, and again, they're a staff that really did their homework and has had relationships overseas and with the agents, and was able to strike and go get two guys that probably at this time last year had no mind to be considering college basketball. And so that's the way that things have changed very quickly, and there's opportunity in that chaos. I think Virginia took advantage of it, and I think this league as a whole, the ACC did. As we mentioned with Bogovac and Fru and Vangelis Zugris and some of the other guys we've talked about on this channel earlier, and now then these four guys and their impact to their teams. If the ACC is going to get back to where it wants to be, it starts with high level evaluations in the spring, and I think the international market's a huge opportunity for this conference, and I think we've seen it. I know the Basketball Under the Review folks from the Three Man Weave guys had their ACC preview out on Wednesday. So check that out. That's more of a comprehensive look, and they've got notes on all these guys. But I do think big picture, when you see guys like this coming into the league, you have a little more optimism after what was so ugly a year ago.
I think so. And I think the big thing, like you're saying, Kevin, is it's not just bringing in talent. It's about knowing how to utilize these guys. And I do think that some of the good European players last year were taken by teams that kind of thought, hey, we want really good talent from Europe. So they talked to the people that could make that happen and said, oh, cool, who are the best players in Europe? And they went, and they didn't always land in the best positions necessarily. I really like a lot of these fits in the ACC, and that's also going to be big as well. And if you're a general ACC fan looking for the league to definitely look up, I think that the ACC did a lot better than most leagues when it came to bringing in these European players. And I do see really all the guys that we talked about today making huge splashes.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll have more international talk next week. So won't be as conference specific. We have to bounce around a little bit, but there's a bunch of more good ones. So if you enjoyed this video, stay tuned and check out the rest of the folks at the Basketball Under Review, from written content to podcast, video, and obviously the Discord community. So much fun, especially as we get closer to the season. I can already smell the overreactions to secret scrimmages and exhibitions as we come. So we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you all next week.